Facing a school he took to the Final Four 4 times in Kansas. Carolina fell behind by 9 early. Jayhawks forced 18 Carolina turnovers. Russell Robinson to Sharon Collins, and then Mario Chalmers, Jay, would get a steal.
Well, Kansas was so good defensively out of the gate, and when they got a turnover, they were able to get the ball to the rim. Their offensive rebounding, outstanding. Kansas dominated from the opening tap.
And then Dick Brandon Rush was stroking it.
I'll tell you, he really responded in a positive way, showed why he was a PT peer, very athletic, could shoot the basketball and could defend as well.
Cole Aldridge came off the bench, got more minutes than expected when Sasha Khan got in foul trouble. He missed the free throw there, lane violation. He later made it, had a good night, Digger.
Yes, he did. The freshman from Bloomington, Minnesota, ends up with 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Got it done when they needed it in the paint.
They had a 28-point lead in the first half, but Danny Green led the Tar Heels back, got them to within 17. He had 15 on the night. And in the second half, Carolina came alive, Bob, behind Wayne Ellington.
Well, they got it all the way to 4, and you really have to give Kansas a lot of credit there, because just as everything seemed to be dropping away from them, they found what they had at the start of the ball game and got it going back in their direction big time.
And here was a big moment when Collins found Sasha Khan, 4 assists for Collins. Rush, lob to Darnell Jackson, 50 points in the paint for the Jayhawks as they pull away late and finish off the Tar Heels and Kansas behind Bill Self, going to the national championship game. 84-66 the final. Kansas won despite 19 turnovers, the most in a Final Four victory since UCLA's win over Arkansas in '95. And the Jayhawks out-rebounded the nation's leader in rebound margin and a team that had been plus 51 on the boards in the tournament. It was a rock-chalk Jayhawk kind of night.
You know, it's 3 different games. First game we were great, and second game we weren't very good, and they were great. And the last game, you know, obviously we played super down the stretch.
After that first 15 minutes, guys was getting subbed left and right because everybody was just gasping for air because the game was so intense. And North Carolina, they played great. Them guys kept fighting, and you could see it. They didn't want to give up, and they didn't do that at all.
We were shooting, clipping off bad shots. When we had to lead, we were rushing, and it wasn't because I was telling them to do that. I mean, if anything, I would like for them to exercise a little bit more patience, but those guys were so geeked up, and they were playing so hard and having so much fun. You know, you almost didn't want to, you know, corral that because they were just playing. They were just playing to win.
To Self's point, the Jayhawks had 3 possessions with opportunities to stretch the lead to 30 in the first half, but when they couldn't do that, North Carolina went on a 14-plus minute run in which they outscored Kansas by 24, got right back in the game, and as Coach mentioned, Kansas able to regain its composure, finish strong, and finish up with an 18-point victory. And the Jayhawks, I know this wasn't necessarily about the players, but for the fans, they got a victory over their former coach in Roy Williams, who had a tough finish to what has been a terrific season for the Tar Heels.
We sort of came out a little more casual than we like to, and they hit us right between the eyes, and we probably rushed things a little bit, and they just kept hammering.
I think we just kind of got in a panic mode and, you know, kind of forced some shots, and things just didn't far away. And
it just hurts. It just really, really hurts. I mean, we had a successful season, and you know, we did a lot of great things this year, and we just fell short of 1 goal.
I guess it's a little like that the stories tell about the little engine that spent so much trying to get up the hill, it didn't have anything left when he got to the
semifinal. Earlier, UCLA and Memphis. Derrick Rose and the Tigers, 37 wins. Nobody had ever won 38. Luke Richard Mbamute misses, and here come the Tigers in transition, Bob.
Well, I think that we've talked all along about what a great conversion team from defense to offense that Memphis State is, but the thing that we really haven't stressed as much as their offense is the fact that this is an awfully good defensive team. It's a very strong team physically, and by strong I mean they can run, they can jump, they're quick, they play very aggressively, and nothing was more evident in the game between Memphis and UCLA than the simple ability Memphis had to dominate that game.
More and more transition. Memphis able to push that lead out. Going to the bucket is Rose, and even when he missed, he was there to get his own.
Yeah, he had 9 rebounds in this game, but credit how they just had penetration, penetration, penetration. And that's what UCLA could not defend. And that's the reason why when you see this slam right here by Chris Douglas Roberts, he ends up just being as big as anybody with 28 points.
Roberts going over the top of Kevin Love, and then a little showing off from the freshman from Chicago. Rose, 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. Douglas Roberts, 28 points on 9 of 17 shooting, and Memphis really dominated this game. 78-63, the Tigers advance to the national championship game. Not only the great offense, but the tremendous work on the boards from Joey Dorsey. No points, but 15 rebounds as the Tigers move into the title match.
I'm coaching a dream team that get it along. They respect coaching. They take on their roles and do it. Joey didn't have a point. He was fine. He had 15 rebounds. The guys off the bench, I didn't play him as much. Why? Because Chris and Derrick Rose had it going.
It's hard to be here 3 years in a row and not come away with a championship. I'm still very proud of this group of young men. I thought this was our best team, our best chance, and Memphis State was a better team today, and you have to credit them.
A lot of teams come out and tend to run with us because they really can't prepare for, our athleticism in practice. And our depth helps us out a lot because we can bring 3 or 4 off the bench, and they're all running too. So it's hard to run with a team that has this depth the whole game.
I'm just trying to be aggressive and just lead my team as a point guard. And it still didn't hit me yet that we won the game, but going into the game, we knew that we was going to win, so yeah, ain't too much to say.
Billy Packer said that was the most wins, and I'm like, and my team didn't even know. So my team's behind me. Is it? That's the most wins? And then I told him, no, you got to get to 39 to have the most wins.
You got to get to 39 for people to remember it, and Derrick Rose said that it hadn't hit them. They won the game yet. Believe you me, it hit UCLA, what Rose and Douglas Roberts were able to do. They combined for 53 points, more than doubling up what the rest of the Memphis squad had. But national semifinal victories. Jayhawks trying to win for the first time since '88. Carolina coach Roy Williams with a fashion statement that will not catch on in Chapel Hill. Derrick Rose, the stomach was just fine. Memphis up early. Rose with his only field goal of the first half, Digger.
Yeah, he goes 1 for 4. Credit Kansas's defense. They shut him down, but in the second half, different story when he gets it going.
See, the great defense applied by Kansas, forcing turnover after turnover, and then Brandon Rush unselfishly setting a couple of picks, and Jay, the high handoff that Kahn finishes.
Well, a great back screen, and Chris Douglas Roberts didn't step in to bump the cutter and to stop that lob.
Joey Dorsey, who didn't score in the semifinal, the steal, the stuff, a little message for Cole Aldrich later in the first. Brandon Rush upstairs to Darrell Arthur.
I'll tell you one thing, Darrell Arthur was sensational. 20 points, 10 rebounds. There's the jam. The big fella delivered.
Kansas had the lead at the half, but in the second half, Rose started to get free. He started by giving it up. Thank you very much, Dorsey on the baptism. He had 6. Good no-look pass. 8 assists for Rose. Memphis had the lead, and here comes Rose on the move again, Coach.
Well, I think that Memphis got off to a really good start in the second half. They looked like they had command of the game going into the last 2.5 minutes. They had a 9-point lead.
And look at the box and one here.
Here we've got a box and one by Kansas, and they get Rose hits the 3 from on top. They're playing the other guard with the box and one, and now Rose comes again. He got a real hot hand in here where he scored 10 or 11 points very quickly after just getting 1 bucket in the first half.
And then showing off, drawing the foul against Chalmers, the double clutch jackknife. 9-0 run for Memphis. Tigers up by 7, and Rose heaves a shot. Friendly nighttime banking hours in San Antonio. It was initially ruled a 3, but his foot was inside the line, counted as a 2. Rose had 18. Memphis seemingly in control, and here perhaps is the momentum-changing play of the game, Jay.
Boy, what a great steal by Sharon Collins off the Antonio Anderson pass. He knocks down the 3, and all of a sudden, Kansas is back with game pressure on Memphis.
Chris Douglas Roberts, who had hit a bunch of free throws in the tournament, missed the front end of the 1-and-1. Darrell Arthur turnaround 20 and 10.
I'll tell you, Arthur was a monster on the interior, but it was all the the free throw line, baby. It was Brick City, USA.
Douglas Roberts missed again. Robert Dozier had his back with the offensive rebound, and now with the 2-point lead, Kansas had to foul, and they did. The freshman Derrick Rose steps to the line. He can put the game away, and he misses the first free throw. Memphis missed 4 of its last 5 free throws in regulation. They made one here. 10 seconds left. Kansas going the other way. What should they have done?
I think they have to call a timeout immediately after the free throw is made and get set up with the fact that they're going to count down 5 or 6 seconds, and then they're going to foul. They've got a much better chance of winning whether they make 1 or 2 free throws, even get the rebound. That just isn't going to happen. But to let that 3 go when it's an opportunity for Kansas to put the game in overtime is just something I don't think you can let happen.
And that's exactly what Mario Chalmers did, sending the championship game to overtime for just the 7th time in tournament history. And in the overtime, Kansas was dominant. Arthur inside, 4-point lead for the Jayhawks. Memphis down by 4. Chris Douglas Roberts misses the 3, working the window. Darnell Jackson, great heads-up look. Rush missed once. He wouldn't miss again. He had a dozen. Kansas up by 6. Under 40 ticks to go. CDR trying to save the Tigers. He came up short. Possession arrow after the scramble and the tied-up ball going to Kansas, and it was all going Kansas' way. Memphis got the ball back, still with a chance. Under a half minute to go. Douglas Roberts for 3. No. Collins the rebound, and Kansas wins the national championship in improbable fashion, 75-68. Mario Chalmers, the most outstanding player. You saw Derrick Rose. He played all 45 minutes, and on the 20th anniversary of Danny and the Miracles, Super Mario's miracle lifted Kansas to a national championship. 75-68 the final. Kansas won the battle on the boards, out-rebounded Memphis by 11, outscored them 44-26 in the paint, had 11 steals, and went on to take the national title.
There was something different tonight. It was, even though it didn't look good, you just felt like that all we needed was just a break and we could get right back in it. And as a coach, you know, you'd love to win, but it's totally different when you win when you're not supposed to win, and you have to do it through toughness and guys stepping up and just making plays when it doesn't look good.
Our whole mindset was just knowing we get one stop and try to get some buckets on the other end. So we just try to pressure out, try to get one stop, and then one stop at a time.
I think the big thing was last year's 2 games versus Texas. I mean, we was down by 22 and something else. I mean, we were down big versus them, and I think everybody just remembered that game, how hard we fought back, and I think everybody just contributed in, and everybody had the mindset that we can come back and we could do it.
You know, it's one thing to win. It's another thing to win the way we won, and just no quitting these guys. You know, I don't know if a coach really deserves what happened to me tonight, because I can't imagine it being any better anytime.
Bill Self winning his first national championship. The final 7 minutes and 12 seconds of the game, that includes overtime. Look at the way the Jayhawks clamped down on defense. They came up with 11 steals on the night. They held Memphis to a single field goal during that span, got virtually every rebound, and they hit all of their free throws. In fact, they hit their final 14 free throws after missing one in the first minute of the game. It was a game in which Memphis had a championship all but locked up and let it slip away.
As a coach, when you're up 5 with whatever seconds left to go, you're supposed to win that game. So I take as much responsibility in this, and you could say rebounding or free throws or whatever, supposed to win that game.
It pretty much just came down to them just winning the game. I mean, they made a lot of plays. Mario had a big shot to send it in overtime, and they had the will to win tonight.
I'm still kind of numb, to be honest with you. What just happened, you kind of numb to it. It'll probably hit me like a ton of bricks tomorrow that we had it in our grasp. You know, I think everything in life happens for a reason. And I sat there and I looked up and I said, Lord, if he makes these 2, we're supposed to be national champs. And if that's your will, I'm fine. And if he misses them and we're not, I'm fine with that too.
Memphis in its first 39 games of the season, 38 of which were victories, put up some astounding offensive numbers, but against a defense like Kansas, Not anything close. Jayhawks third in the country in field goal percentage defense, and they held Memphis to 40% shooting, a little bit over that, dominated on the boards. And while Memphis free throw percentage was a little better than its season percentage, it was the 4 of 5 misses down the stretch that put the Tigers in the position to have a tight game at the end. The game in which, when we went over the highlight, our guys felt as if Memphis should have fouled to keep Chalmers from being able to attempt that three. Calipari on his thinking in the final seconds.
Sharon Collins got away. We were going to foul at half court. He got away from our man, and then when our man did foul him and pushed him to the floor, probably didn't foul him hard enough because of the space, but we were fouling. He's separated. I imagine their coach said they're going to try to foul you, so run from him, and we were fouling.